he's proficient in music himself, and he comes from a musical family. So, I mean, of the many directors I've worked with, there's few that are as musically literate as he is, and he has the ability to have a conversation in those terms, in those musical terms. And that being said, I would say that we very rarely have conversations like that. We more often talk about story, emotion, pace, theme.
Let's say in the last film, the one that we're finishing now, there was this idea of a certain type of violin sound, fiddle sound, but then the question of the sonority of it, Mychael was very clear that it shouldn't have the influence of the region that the film was set in, and I agreed. I thought that was a very smart idea, but it would still have a sound more like a fiddle than a violin, so that we would look for a certain musician who would create that sound as opposed to a classical violin sound, or maybe use a double course, or like all those nuances are things that we're both very sensitive to, and finding the right musician. He has an amazing imagination. I'm not going to limit his imagination at the beginning; that would be ridiculous. Sometimes there's a breathy type of sound that we might want from a wind, and that there might be an emphasis. So the way it's recorded becomes important as well.
And your inspiration is from the pictures or from the script?
It's from the film. It's from the film itself, and from discussions with the director on what it is that he's trying to say and portray, and how we can best express that through the music. So it's really about the script doesn't exist. It's long gone. It's the film. It's what we're looking at. That's what has to inform all these decisions.
In Exotica, a lot of the textures were instruments and sounds that I recorded the year before.
That's right.
When I went to make Calendar. Calendar was a very small film I made. And I'm using a lot of the sounds, folk sounds, in Calendar. But Mychael got very excited when he heard it. And so I had these recordings, and so they were then taken by Mychael and developed. So you're hearing these really old Armenian chants in Exotica and some of the disco, or you're hearing, so a lot of it is stuff that excites him, where he's excited, and what the mission is. Like when you have a film like Exotica and you have that club and you have the atmosphere, then there is a tremendous play at being able to use a wide palette of different sounds, and you're given permission to do that.
The only times I would go to the stage are really when there's pre-recorded music that they need me to be there for. That, in Exotica, someone's playing the piano, but otherwise, there's no reason to be there. It doesn't add anything. It doesn't help me really understand the film.
Yeah, Devil's Knot is a very unusual film because a lot of it is based on actual material of this trial. It's the story of these three boys that were found murdered, naked and tied up, murdered in a forest in the American South. And it was a terrible crime. And it's about the need to find who did this. And basically, it becomes like a witch hunt. These three teenagers are found guilty, but they have no real connection to this crime. They listen to hard music. They're strange kids, one of them. But it's really a study about how these two characters deal with this Kafkaesque situation where justice is so clearly being manipulated. And one of them is the mother of a boy who was killed. The other one is a private investigator. And it's really their story. So, the music has a very interesting use because it's trying to create this sense of panic and horror that the community felt, but it's also trying to create a sense of the futility of the process of justice, that there's a momentum, but it's not really going anywhere. It's not arriving anywhere. And in the middle of it, Mychael has found some beautiful, simple cues, like that flute. I mean, I just love it. Very simple, which suggests the connection between these two people. So, but it was interesting because I was originally thinking that the music should reflect the regional area of the South, but he was very clear that this story can happen anywhere, and not to root it in the moment you use the regional music, then it becomes too specific, and that was a very good idea. So we have these dialogues.